Hello and welcome to a new video in the Excel function series. Today I will talk about a super useful and super powerful function, the GROUPBY function. But since this function is quite extensive, it might take a while. But I said to you, the time is worth invested. So what does the GROUPBY function do? The GROUPBY function is to summarize data via a formula, a single formula, and it is grouping along one axis and then aggregating the associating values. And we have a few arguments. The first argument is the row fields. Those are the values that are used to group. Then the values and a function, and the function is the third argument, is then applied to those values, and those functions can be either in an explicit lambda or in eta reduced lambda. So what does explicit lambda mean? So you have to type in lambda, then a name, and then type in a function and then give it the name. Or eta reduced, you simply type in the function. Field headers, it is important if you want to have, if you have field headers in the data at all. Here, if you want to have totals, subtotals, or no totals at all, you need the total tab argument. Sort order, you can actually sort your group by result. And if you want to have it ascending, type in a minus, but we will go on that later. You can also filter the rows that should be included. And filtering means we need a true and false column here in the filter array. And field relationships is important when you sort and have subtotals, but we will not go that deep today. So let's show us some work with this function. Here I type in GROUPBY. My row fields are given by those letters and my values are given by those numbers, and I simply want to sum. And here you see this is basically unique and SUMFS in this case. So here I have the unique letters and the sum of by letter and a total at the bottom. If you don't want to have this total, let's type in 0 here for total depth. If you want to have this sorted after the second column, type in here type in here 2. If you want to have it ascending, if you want to have it descending, then type in a minus in front of the number of the column. You can also use -1, then you see it will be E, the F, E, D, and so on. And yeah, we can also use here another function, and also you have to know those functions are not extensive. You can use multiple other functions also in a eta reduced form. In this case, we use max here. And yeah, you can also, for example, use a eta reduced, not eta reduced function like large 2. And in this case, it will give the second largest number based on the row field. So here we go. And yeah, that is basically everything that can be done with an easy version of GROUPBY. But let's take a look at the more hardcore version. And first, a few tips. What you can do with GROUPBY is, even when you only have one column of values, you can apply multiple functions to it by simply haystacking those functions. And then both the sum and the max, in this case, will be applied to column C, or to this range here, and they will be side by side. You can also do this for, you can also have multiple value columns and then apply different functions to both columns or to the columns. In this case, sum will be applied to C1 to C10, and max will be applied to D1 to D10. And here it is also doable that you have not those value columns or value ranges side by side. You can also haystack them and then apply different functions to it. You can have individual headers by simply v-stacking and haystacking in something for the value fields, and not for the value fields, for the functions. You can have, we have not dived this deep into it, but you can have more than 2 subtotals. And yeah, if you want to have it at the top, type a minus in front. And field relationship, as told, that is important when sorting data that is somehow organized. But let's use this in an extensive version. So GROUPBY, I haven't told you this, but you can also sort or group by multiple, let's use by multiple columns. In this case, I want to have the column continent first and then the country, and use the sum of revenue for this. So in this case, we have the revenue for the separate continents and countries. And now let's use here subtotals as well. And then we have subtotals for the continents. And if we then, for example, also would use here the sectors, we only have 2 subtotals now, but with 3 subtotals, we also have subtotals for the countries and for the continents. And we can also have those at the top with -3, and then there will be the grand total, then the continent total, and then the country total, and then the separate totals for the continent, country, sector combination. But let's do something else. I want to have this by country, and I want to have revenue and earnings, and I want to have the sum of both. In this case, the revenue and earnings are summed by country. Now I want to have sorted in descending order after the sum of earnings. And let's apply something else. I want to have the sum of revenue and the maximum of earnings. And we can also, if I type in here correctly, we can also have here then a special header. In this case, sum rev and max earn. Close our brackets, and we now have an individual header here. And you can simply use then here also the other stuff like no totals or a sort order and everything else. And also something cool is if you want to use the filter function. In this case, I filter for all by sectors the revenue if, and that's now the filter array, if the company is from Asia. And you now have here only the totals by sector if the company is based in Asia, and you can simply combine both. So here we could also combine here in, for example, then the balance sheet sum, and we would then also have the balance sheet sum for the companies in Asia for the different sectors. And here, super useful function, super powerful functions. I will link you this sheet in the video description that you can play along a bit. And here I hope this function will help you in your daily work. Thank you for your attention. See you next time. Bye.